A Business Cash Flow Guide. Chapter 1. Business Cash Flow. Cash Flow Management 1. Watch your overhead. Cash flow management is balancing money coming in versus money going out in such a way that you are in control of cash flow, i.e., you have money, sometimes called a positive cash flow. Many banks offer cash management services with some kind of overdraft protection and the lockbox feature for mail order businesses. Cash flow management is generally about accounts receivable, accounts payable, cash on hand, cash balance, and inventory management. Whatever else you do in business, if you run out of money, your business could fail. Always keep an eye on cash flow to make sure you got money coming in from customers and investors. Cash flow management is all about managing your money, making sure you have a positive cash flow all the time, more dollars in assets than liability dollars out, getting money from your customers quickly, keeping your accounting system simple, keeping all your money in one bank account to keep it simple, paying your bills timely as late as possible if necessary, and keeping an eye on taxes you owe. Some people seem to want to pay bills as late as possible in order to keep their money on hand in case they need it and to collect daily interest from the bank, but I'm of the mind to do this only if you're really low. Other than that, pay your bills as quickly as possible to get it over with. The stress of this trivial matter overrides the main concern of business, which is to create a good product to help people. Not all banks are created equal. Find a good bank in your area that offers personable, low-fee services. Then every year or so, look around to see if you can find a bank offering a better deal. To pay your bills, you can authorize your bank for automatic withdrawal for such things as utilities, phone, water, etc. And possibly hire a private firm to manage some of your bill paying for a low fee. Credit cards are good to pay bills and keep it all on one statement, provided you pay the bill during the grace period before interest accrues. In order to keep close tabs on your bank balance, pick a bank with either / or both a toll-free number and website where you can access your account statement at any time. Fraud by employees is one of the biggest ways companies lose money. Either have periodic audits, assign people who work on the account with a unique password such that all their transactions are recorded, or have a few disparate people who don't really like each other to work on the accounting such that they unwittingly act as watchdogs of each other. Even the smallest business should have a personal computer and some simple accounting software where you or one of your employees can keep the figures straight with little effort. Cash flow management 2. Cash is king. Too many self-employed people neglect their cash flow until it is too late to recover. Cash flow is all about getting the money from customers, paying your bills, keeping it simple, one bank account, managing accounts payable, accounts receivable, and inventory more effectively while being frugal. What it really comes down to is getting your money from your customers quickly. That's what cash flow management is. In your business, you should collect money as fast as you can. To do so, try these things. Speed up customer orders by having them fax or email their orders to you. Send out your invoices the same day goods are shipped, not a week or two later. Indicate on your invoice when payment is due and specify the penalty interest for late payment. Always deposit checks the same day they are received. Don't hold checks until the next day because you lose one day's float. You can lose 3 days of float by not depositing Friday's checks until Monday. Obtain availability of 0 to 2 days on deposited checks. Don't let your bank give you the customer availability of 1 to 5 days. Be persistent. Ask the bank for its availability schedule and scan it to be sure you're receiving fast availability of 2 days or less. Each bank has its own availability schedule. This is used to assign check availability to consumers, business, commercial accounts, and large corporate accounts. Availability is the number of days until you can use the money deposited by check as cash. For example, a $1,000 check deposited today and assigned a 1-day availability can be withdrawn as cash tomorrow. MICRN code your customers' checks, using a machine that prints magnetic ink on the bottom of the check, with the dollar amount before depositing them in the bank if you deposit more than 500 checks per month. Banks charge 3 to 5 cents less for each encoded check. Used encoded machines cost about $1,500. Check your yellow pages under bank equipment for dealers. Besides saving money, you may get another benefit: faster check availability. Ask your bank about its deadline for receiving availability on deposited checks. Some banks may require a deposit of an encoded check by 2 p.m. even though the bank is open to 5 p.m. Make sure you make this deadline, otherwise you lose one day's float. Before using a bank's ATM for check deposits, find out the bank's availability deadline. Some banks have a 12 noon cut-off time, which means that any checks deposited later are considered to be deposited the next day. In that case, you lose an entire day's float even though you did your bit to get the checks cashed. Disperse your money slowly. Just as you should collect at the earliest possible moment, you should not pay a day sooner than you have to unless you got the spare money and get a discount for doing so. A lot of people believe in staying ahead of bills and paying them as early as possible, but if money's tight, it's bad business management. You want to keep your money in your hands as long as you can. Here are some suggestions to slow down your disbursements. Pay your invoices on the last day they're due, not before. Try to mail your payment on Thursday or Friday to pick up a few extra days' mail float over the weekend. Use business credit cards for travel, lodging, meals, and small expenses for yourself and your employees. With credit cards, you typically don't have to make payment until 25 days after receiving the statement. Use this float by investing the money. In total, you can typically keep your money invested for 45 days from date of purchase. Don't issue advances to employees. Have them use their personal credit cards or business cards if you provide them. Consider setting up a remote disbursement checking account in another state to extend the check clearing float by at least a day. The downside of this practice is that some vendors may complain about their delayed availability on their bank deposit, but this can be overcome by mailing them their checks one day earlier. In other words, set up a checking account in another state so that the checks you write take longer to clear. Many small businesses neglect to reconcile their monthly bank statements or assume that the bank never makes a mistake. Banks make mistakes, and you must stay on top of your disbursement to control your cash flow. If you are one of those people who simply can't stand to balance your checkbook, you can use a bank's standard account reconcilement services for a low monthly price, $30 to $70 base charge and 5 to 7 cents a check. Use a bank's reconcilement service if the following conditions apply to you. When you have a monthly check volume of at least 500 checks. When you need specialized reports. When you are currently performing your own reconcilement. When you don't have your own PC or any other kind of computer system. When you have no staff to do it or time to do it yourself. Many businesses make the mistake of keeping too much money in their bank accounts to pay for bank services, checking account minimum balance. This money could be used more effectively elsewhere, such as to pay off a loan or to invest at a more competitive rate. Many businesses have no idea how much money to leave in the bank or what alternatives they have to compensate the bank. Take some time to find out what your minimum balance needs to be. Get an account analysis statement. How do you know how much money, bankers refer to this as balances, to leave in your checking account to pay for bank's services? First, get a price list which shows how much your bank charges for services like account maintenance, checks deposited, checks paid, stop payments and wire transfers. Ask the bank to send you a monthly account analysis statement. The analysis statement contains the average balance levels for the month, both the ledger and the available balance, as well as a listing of services used, their transaction volumes and cost. This statement should be obtained in addition to the regular monthly bank statement. Look at the account analysis to see whether you are overcompensating the bank, then pull out any excess funds and invest them in a high-yielding money market mutual fund. Smaller banks may not know what you are talking about when you ask for an account analysis. Larger banks often offer this type of statement, but you have to ask for it. And don't let them charge you for it, since it is only an invoice. Try number 658.15 or HG 4027-28 at the library. Refer to My Money book for extensive information about credit reporting agencies and banks. Cash flow websites. Books about cash flow management are at number 658.15 and HG 4028 at the library. Cash Management Association of the Americas. Cashmanagementassociation.org. CorporateFinanceInstitute.com. MoneyControls.net. bizhelp24.com/cash-flow-control-2.html. cash-flow.09.com. en.wikipedia.org/wiki/free_cash_flow. allbusiness.com/business-finance/cash-management/3947-1.html. alphalimited.co.uk/business-briefs/business-planning-cash-flow.htm. business.com, Cash Flow Management. businesscashflowmanagement.com, Tulsa, OK, 918-592-1727. khflowmanagement.com. smallbusinessfinancetips.com/business-cash-controls.html. thecashflowgroup.com, Commercial Collection Agency, Florida Consumer Collections. wealthygeek.com, Directory of Cash Flow Management. work.com, Better Cash Flow Management How-to Guide. Ernst & Young. Cash Management Consultants. 277 Park Avenue, NYC 10172. 212-407-1831. ey.com. Cash Management Services websites. Cash management or treasury management is a marketing term banks use to describe their business services for their larger business customers, such as providing a business bank account, quick check clearing, business credit, direct deposit services, etc. Refer to the business banking sections. business.com, Directory of Cash Management Solutions. aexcfg.com, EECS Business Cash Advance Working Capital Guide. bankri.com/tabid/303/default.aspx. CapitalOne.com, Cash Management with Capital One. centralpacificbank.com/content/businessbanking/cashmanagement/index.shdm. cnb.com/business/cashmanagement, City National Bank. commerceonline.com/business_banking/cash_management.cfm. wachovia.com.